Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Big House Buddy, and with me today, within this big house, is my good friend and fellow prisoner, Blue Genocide. Say hi!
I was let out on good behavior for doing really well in the redo, so I'm stuck here, so is this really good behavior a reward? Hi guys.
Yeah. Indeed. So, just a few bits of information here. So this is for Big House Buddy, released on the 22nd of April 1950. It's the 587th in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Gold Collection Volume 1 DVD set. It has been given a new remaster into HD, however, so that's what I'm using for this review.
Outside? Why, you're inside!
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm outside. You're inside.
I am? Well, then get in here!
Now, as for the synopsis, because you may not have seen this one, but Bugs accidentally ends up in SingSong prison trying to escape from some hunters, where prison guard Sam Schultz, now, I believe he thinks that Bugs is a prisoner trying to escape. Blue seems to beg to differ there, but Bugs, of course, does what he needs to do to get out of prison. So you think Sam actually thinks that Bugs is not really a prisoner, but he's just being a jerk anyway?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that, I might think that even if this cartoon wasn't intended to be that, the cartoon does do a pretty good job of parodying the average monetized police system that we have now. Anthony was kind of right. I don't think that was a thing in the 50s. But just the way Sam initially responds to Bugs as he enters and he sees him, he's like, oh, you're a prisoner of this, this, and this. And then Bugs goes, no, I'm only 3.5. That's an obvious Costello reference. But you can also see he's like, okay, so you're 3.5. And then in the next shot where, Bugs is in full prison uniform, Sam just says, I'll make sure you do 90 years in here. I don't know. It's a little bit iffy to say if he actually thinks that Bugs is a prisoner in this prison, but
he just wants to impress his boss, I guess. But just a few bits of trivia. You've already mentioned the first one about the only 3.5 years old gag. That refers to Billy Gray's character on the Abbott and Costello radio show. And I think this is also the last Warner Brothers shorts to have this line because it's been used so many times, especially in Bob Clampett cartoons. The prison, SingSong Prison, is a direct reference to Sing Sing Prison, which is a maximum security prison that is still in use today in New York State. And that's where we're recording from today. No, I'm just kidding. But in any case, this cartoon is hilarious. It's one of the best Bugs and Sam shorts. I love this one. Where to begin with this one? I mean, I guess we'll begin right at the beginning, right? So, It's interesting how easily Bugs gets into the prison, and yet he can't seem to leave. Or when he's disguised as a warden, why doesn't he just walk out? I think the reason for that is because each unit had their own idea of Bugs. I think Friz's idea revolves around Bugs being more of a passive character, but if you piss him off, he will go all out, and I mean all out, to teach you a lesson. So in this case, Sam should have just let him go and say, oh, you're clearly not the prisoner, you're wrongfully here, you can leave now. Thanks, Sam. End of cartoon. It'd be one of the worst cartoons ever made, but,
Yeah, I would say that is a pretty good assessment. I do think that maybe part of that logic of Friz's was because he was such a much, I don't want to say older, but a senior director at Warner Brothers compared to the other teams like Jones and McKimson at this time. I think that maybe it comes to the older trends of the screwball character that that he just figured out that the way to make a screwball character work in a bit cartoon like this is to have him wrong at the beginning, kind of like how Chuck Jones handles it. But definitely Bugs in Frizz's cartoons is a much more petty character, I would say.
Indeed. But I love that line.
Yeah, my mother told me there'd be days like this.
That is a real moment right there.
Exactly. When you're working in corporates and you just have a really bad customer to deal with, you pretty much be saying something like that, But looking at some of the gags in this one, I mean, I love, and who doesn't, the outside cell joke. The logic in that is I'm not inside, you are, and all that. It's just
Sam definitely has a lapse in logic there where he actually falls for that. It's classic Bugs and Sam like wordplay, and it's really funny.
Because as you mentioned in the previous track we recorded just before this one for Mutiny on the Money, Sam progressively loses his IQ as the cartoon goes along.
Well, to be fair, in this cartoon, halfway through, he gets hanged. So, like, his brain's clearly not at full capacity, I would say.
I would say, yeah, definitely. And speaking of that hanging scene, that would be usually cut out for television. And
I never saw it the first time. The first couple times I saw this cartoon, it was a complete shock when I would actually see that on DVD. Because it's like such a blink and you miss it moment, but it's pretty shocking. Like even now, like I don't even fully understand the logistics of it because like he clearly doesn't have the rope around his neck. Like Bugs like runs up, he hits the button, he goes down like it's an elevator. Sam does the same thing, but somehow he gets his head through the noose.
well, he's lost a lot of IQ points, so somehow he got his head through. I don't know. And I should point out to people as well, if they're wondering why is there a hanging rope in a prison cell, because obviously we don't have that today. Even in places that still have the death penalty, like in the US, it used to be, hanging was the capital punishment that you would get. And I'm not sure when they stopped having hangings in prisons in the United States, but yeah, it was actually a thing back then, just in case people were wondering, well, why is this even in a prison? But how on earth would the clothes swapping part work? I think that's just one of the most bonkers thing of this cartoon.
Oh yeah, no, it's like a perfect moment of like a lapse of judgment where they reverse the clothes. Never mind the fact that Bugs is like twice the size of Sam, so it doesn't make any sense there. Yeah. But he gets arrested. He gets thrown in a prison cell. All of a sudden, all he can think about is getting out. Bugs shows up in the same outfit that he just took from him. And he's like, I'm going to help you out of here, see? It's obviously like a reference to like movie cliches of the time. Like the whole, I won't forget what you did for Martha and the kids or whatever. Sam completely forgets who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
He breaks out of the prison and he ends up, well, I'll let you fit.
That's all right, because what's really interesting is that he ends up... See, in the beginning of the cartoon, it's established that a forest is nearby, or a really bushy area, whatever you want to call it. And then when Sam, escapes, at first you think he's in that same forested area, and he seems to think so, but no, it's in his boss's office in a very... I mean, who has that many plants in their office? I'm sure someone in the comments would say, my boss does, but yeah, I would say, your boss is an idiot for having too many plants in an office, but that's another thing entirely. but it's a great touch. It's a great callback. I thought that was an excellent way of doing it.
There's a lot of good setup in this cartoon. Like they definitely had that scene of Bugs running away from the hunters in the beginning of the cartoon to establish the shot for later for when Sam seems to be in the same area. But they also make sure to set up his last name being Sam Schultz in this entire cartoon because they say it like 3 times in like the first minute of him being introduced. So that's even funnier when his boss is just screaming at the top of his lungs for him. It seems so obvious, but at the same time, it's not.
It works so flawlessly. Even if you don't realize it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I noticed when rewatching the cartoon for this video today, yeah.
Exactly, and even the little touches are great in this one. Like, for example, the timing of the stair climb to the music, which is Friz's thing, because he was so great at timing to the music. And also, even the painful touches when Sam knocks the lump back into the warden. If you watch the slow motion, you can see how the warden shrugs his shoulders as the lump's being hit back in. The nice little touches like that, it is fantastic.
Yeah. Sam's boss in this cartoon is one of my favorite parts of this entire cartoon.
Exactly. But you did have a question about that scene, though. Like, why does he have a black eye when clearly...
Oh... Yeah, like Sam knocks him clearly right on the head because he develops that huge lump. Yet he's got a black eye. Like, did Sam like hit him in the head and then like drag the baton down to the eye and poke him in it or something? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, just like in the hanging scene, there's another little weird continuity. I don't want to call it error. It could be seen as an error, maybe not. I don't know, but it's really strange how it ended up.
Maybe I'll go back to my previous argument and like argue against myself and say, well, maybe that just shows how stupid Sam is that somehow he managed to get his head stuck in there at the same time.
Exactly, because he pushes the button thinking he's got an elevator just like Bugs did, and then In the next shot, he's got the noose around his neck. I noticed, though, the Bugs' reaction to being set free and playing dumb, that is one of the best bits of acting I've seen in a Looney Tunes cartoon. I really enjoyed that. Just this whole thing is like, what? Me? Free? You mean me, right? Yeah, me? Free?
Oh, and the music touches right in that scene is really great too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, so I'm free, right?
But
Me?
with
You
that
sure?
entire scene, you have to wonder why the warden is even mad at Sam in the first place for letting somebody who's not even supposed to be in that prison go. Let's think about this for a second. The prison warden lets go of the fact that Sam beat him over the head with a baton, but letting a free man go and gets himself locked in prison.
Yeah, just the more you think about this cartoon, the less a lot of
But it
parts of it that
doesn't.
makes
But
sense.
you don't care about that while you're watching the cartoon because it's so funny, and that's the signs
Exactly.
of a good cartoon.
Exactly. Because stuff like that, I think it's actually even funnier when you start to think of the logic and how it doesn't even make sense. I think it makes it even funnier, even though that's not obviously their intention here. But either way, yeah, it's a great cartoon.
Toodaloo, Mr. Schultz. It's been nice knowing you.
So in terms of rating, this one easily gets a 9 out of 10 for me. It is amazing cartoon, hilarious from start to finish. This new HD version looks fantastic, I think. And yeah, this is one of my go-tos when I want to watch a Sam and Bugs cartoon. So yeah, 9. In fact, you know what? 9.5 out of 10. We'll make it 9.5 out of 10. The more I think about it, the more I love it. So, I mean, what would you rate this one?
I'm rating it a 10 out of 10. I think this is one of the strongest Bugs and Yosemite Sam cartoons ever made during the golden era, and it really just stands up. Like, I'm not as huge a fan of High Diving Hair as I was when I was little, but I think that this cartoon is just as funny as the first time I saw it, and that's just amazing to me because I've seen this cartoon so many times.
Indeed, yep. This is a fantastic one. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the Gold Collection. I think it's either on HBO Max or it might be on Amazon Video. I'm not sure, but someone gave me this HD copy, so thank you to that person. But in any case, we'll wrap it up here. And thank you so much for watching it. Until next time, take care.
What about you? Oh, pardon me. Have a light. Oh, no. I'd like to know what dirty stool pigeon squealed on